I'm going to show you how to make an au jus beef roast dish. First thing we're going to do is start with the slow simmered beef roast au jus. The other thing you're going to need is artichoke hearts by Vigo. You just need this small tin. There's two sizes that you can get at Publix, but this one is the small quartered marinated artichoke hearts by Vigo. You're also going to need whole kernel corn. Again, I got this one from Publix. You can get a frozen corn, that's fine. The next thing you're going to need is some sun-dried tomatoes, and then you will need bow tie pasta. Bow tie pasta will be great with this, but you can use any other pasta, small pasta, penne pasta, or anything like that. You'll want to bring some water to a boil so you can boil your bow tie pasta. Once your water has been brought to a boil, pour the water into a pot. Okay, you can see now that the meat is starting to, the pot is starting to warm up with the meat. This is all cooked already, so all we're going to try and do here is break it up. See if it's still firm. It just needs to heat up a little bit longer. Now, one thing I like to add is a little bit of Dale seasoning, and hopefully it can get in. I'm using the low sodium version, and I only add just a little bit just to add a little bit of like a marinated flavor to it. Just a few light pours of that. Alright, now we're going to add our artichoke hearts, and I like to add everything that's in this container, all the oil and everything. Adds so much flavor. You'll see the meat is starting to break up really nicely there. Now I'm going to chop up some sun-dried tomato. Just chop it up nice and fine. Alright, now I'm going to add half a cup of frozen corn. Okay, so I'll add a little bit more corn in there. That should be a decent amount. You'll see that as this thing's cooking, that the water is starting to evaporate as I don't have a lid on here. So I'm going to need to add some water, but before I do that, I'm going to actually make it into a bit of a mix with some cornstarch, just so that this can thicken up. My pasta is almost ready, so I'm going to turn the heat off in just a little bit. I don't want it to overcook. And sometimes with the recipe, you feel like something a little bit different. I decided to add a little bit of spinach in here just for some greens, and I think that'll also just give it a nice different texture and a different flavor. You know, spinach cooks away to nothing, so I'm going to add a good layer there, and that should mix in really well. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a little bit of cornstarch. Take about that much. I'm going to add some water to it. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and mix it together. We'll mix it together so that there's no more clumps. Alright, now you can see it's nice and smooth. Okay, now I'm going to work this into the dish. Mix that in there. And then I'm going to add a little bit more water and let it thicken. We're going to leave this to cook so that it can cook out all the cornstarch, and as it does that, it'll also thicken up really nicely. And you may need to add water over, as you keep going. But it's kind of like a, as you cook, you figure out how much you're going to need. Once we add the pasta in, we'll have a good idea. Okay, so now we've got a nice thickened au jus. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the pasta and I'm going to scoop it out, keeping some of that water. I want some of that starch from that water. I don't want to rinse these out. And as I put these in here and mix them up, they're going to mix up to a nice, delicious pasta dish. And there we can see the result is a very juicy, delicious au jus. That's a really easy dish.